Hi guys, an interesting video for you today. We're going to look at some of the old equipment that used to be used in snooker many years ago. To help me, Ben Sizer. Ben, welcome to the channel.
Lovely. Thanks
He's a
very
snooker
much.
fan and a collector of these kind of antiques. Obviously we've got my cue, we've got the new rest, but explain what this is here, Ben.
Absolutely. So before the cue was invented, the Victorian and even before, we used a thing called a mace. So you can see here there's no tip on the cue.
Yeah.
There's a hard butt here. So this is actually a thing called a lady's mace. A gent's would have been slightly longer, probably this kind of length.
Right.
And you would be actually in the same position that you would be doing today with the stance.
Right.
But you would be trying to pot a ball like that. How they did it, I do not know.
Well, shall I have a go? Shall I try and pot a black off a spot
Please
here?
do.
I mean,
I'll be very impressed if you do this.
How many balls are on the table?
It would be the normal game of snooker, absolutely. So most people would have a stance and you would put a hand on your leg like this to keep the sort of the stance firm.
Well, I'm happy. I mean, so there was obviously no positional play, no breaks made. It was just one ball at a time, was it?
Absolutely, as simple as that.
And what is this thing? Is this like a kind of a rest?
This is absolutely right. So this is the rest. So this is a really old handmade rest that they would have used. Again, if you've got a shot that's a little bit too long, you would have put the mace on the rest and placed it as a position.
It's kind of like the spider, isn't it?
Absolutely, similarly. And the thing is, we've got to remember is that because this is all from sort of 1860, 1890, all of this would have been handmade. It would have been really expensive for anybody to play the sport.
Because that's ivory, right?
That is, yeah, that's made. That is ivory. So that is all sort of natural ingredients, so to speak, to make the rest. But again, today's so rare, these items. I've had to borrow these from some other collectors, but they are some real historical pieces of where the game began.
How big the tables? Were they the same size back in those days when these cues were out?
So there's a real mixture of different stories. Some of them are smaller tables, some of them would be the same size.
Yeah.
It really depends on the house, the collection, the process of what it would have been. So
I mean, am I going to be able to get the cue ball to pot this long ball to hit it hard enough? I don't know.
Yeah. So again, it's all about the stance. As I said, the mace would have been slightly bigger for a gent back in the day, but if you pot this, you could win world titles in any era.
If I can get the cue ball to the black, this would be a miracle. I got it there.
Oh, well, hitting it is a pretty good shot.
I mean, there's some skill in it. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know how anyone. I mean, it's mad. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then you've got the rest as well that would have been included in that. I mean, to try and actually bridge with that.
Let me see if I'm set up a shot to play with the rest. So you do it this way. You wouldn't do that way.
So
you can do either.
You can do either. Whatever's more secure for you.
Yeah.
But again, it provides it a really tough point. And what they would typically have is it would be a little bit further back, so that the mace is actually on the table itself.
Oh, okay, like that.
Just like that, absolutely.
I see Karen Wilson or Sean Murphy, the best rest players in the world. Well, you're not going to get any stun or screw anywhere on the cue ball.
Absolutely. So break building then just was non-existent. It was all about one pot at a time and making sure that, and also with the balls that they were using as well, it was so tough to be able to make any big breaks.
So you say this is a ladies' cue,
that's correct,
as you call it. So was it? As many women play snooker in those days as the men?
Yeah, but back in there it was a real social event. These kind of tables, as I said, because everything's handmade, it was such a cost for these items to be made. A lot of people would have really decorative homes with a table in, and it would be a social evening. So after dinner, they would just go and play billiards or snooker, and they would use these maces. And also, this particular mace doesn't have it, but later on there was some sort of sighting aids that would be on it. So if you were right-handed, you would have a line for a right-handed, and the same with the left-handed. So the sighting piece has always been in snooker, even from the early days.
So it's gone full circle now, because all the pros are using these sighting aids, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Sight right, Lee Walker, and everyone. It's amazing. So we've got a couple of cues here. These are, I mean, this is a Burwatt champion. Burrs and Watts. I remember a lot of people used these.
Absolutely.
This is like a top quality cue, isn't it?
Yeah, a big fan of Alex Higgins. Loved playing with this cue. It was one that if he was going into clubs and saw it in the rack, it would often end up going home with him. But Ronnie played with it as well. I mean, this is a great example of the Burwatt champion, and again, still really desirable cues for today. Yeah. And they were handmade so beautifully that they've lasted the test of time. But actually, the difference with these cues is that they are so much thicker in the tip end and throughout the whole cue than the modern day. So looking at most cues, I don't know what tip you play with, but it's typically around about 9.5.
Master, so you can pretty standard length, isn't it, as well?
Absolutely. So they're always looking at the sort of the standard length, but the whole cue throughout the process is usually typically thicker for the older cue, because of the balls that they were playing with. Yeah. So today it's a super fine cloth, really great balls. Yeah. Back in the day, really thick cloths, really heavy balls, and break building was really difficult to be able to get anything moving.
This one is it's a maple cue, obviously, like what I use, but this is
Horace Lindrum.
A Horace Lindrum cue.
Yeah, so again, a really rare cue. One thing you will note is that they don't do this today, but they would actually imprint how heavy that cue is.
Okay.
So with these cues, a lot of people will go into dealerships. They'll be able to see all the cues in the rack and pick out the weight that suits best for them.
I see this cue. It's quite thick and it goes in quite thin at the end.
Correct.
Right at the very end. Is that deliberate or?
Yeah, that's how a lot of the cues were made then. A lot of people at that particular time wanted a very thick butt to be able to grip into the hand. And again, because the balls and trying to get any movement or spin on the balls, you really needed a thicker cue to get that connection for a firm strike.
And would you have a certain cue for billiards, or would just be a cue be a cue?
Typically at that particular stage a cue would be a cue. Obviously with pool now people would use a smaller tip, but with snooker and billiards we typically see it's gone in sort of hand in hand, a very similar process.
We've got some old balls here as well.
Yeah, so
billiards, which is something I never played.
Yeah,
the old snooker balls.
So these are actually Rex Williams's set, the great man himself. They're his original set of billiard balls.
I used to use a Rex Williams cue.
Oh, did you? There you are.
Yeah.
So they're his original balls and a great testament of history. But these are the snooker collection that was taken from another collector, Thomas Hudson.
Right.
Now this is one of the rarest sets in total because this is the full 15 reds and colours.
Right.
Now you'll notice they all look white. So this set itself is from around about 1890.
Wow.
So it really tested the sort of time. But as we'll see, and I think I said earlier,
these are ivory.
These are ivory. Yeah,
wow.
These are ivory. So it's a difficult history for the game itself, but it's the way that it was played at the time.
Yeah. And they feel heavy, don't they? Just
very heavy.
Yeah. You wouldn't get any action on those, would you? Would you any side or
absolutely none at all. So that's where the game really developed because you wouldn't be able to get any side and kind of movement on that.
Okay.
When it then moved to the supercrystallites and such like, you could then do more things with the ball. So we'll have a couple of shots with this, but it'll be interesting to see how you find it.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, look at the difference. Look at that.
And actually, if you look closely into some of the balls, you'll be able to see some of the actual graining itself of the process of the ball.
Wow.
All of them were coloured, so you can see this probably most likely would have been the green at the time, and this was definitely the yellow. But over sort of nearly 200 years and beyond, the colour has disbanded.
Shall I see if I can get a little bit of screw back on?
Absolutely.
Got a little bit of action on it.
A little bit of action.
That feels so weird.
Absolutely, and you'll hear by the strike is very different as well, completely and utterly.
Yeah.
Now, you probably did a straight shot there. When you're playing from angles, the billiard balls react differently.
Okay.
So where if you're playing in a cannon and you expect it to go in one place, all of a sudden the balls will react very differently. Yeah. So let me move that off the table and you can
an angled one. Well, I mean, that could have been the greatest. In the 1800s, that could have been the world champion.
The greatest of all time in any era.
I mean, over time, they're not even properly round now, are they? Or?
No, because of the age, some of them will have walked a little bit.
And they're smaller, right?
Only slightly. Oh, great shot.
Happy with that. I tried to plain ball it. I don't know what would happen if I put any side on it.
Well, I mean, absolutely give it a try. I mean, the balls react in a very different way as they would do today.
Yeah. Yeah, everything has had to be plain ball.
100%. Yeah, it was straight up and down the dial all the time.
It looks like an apple. Billiards, which is a game I never played because it's so boring, but you can see there's a little spot in there because it was spot and plain. Because this is it's sort of natural enough, and you played this.
That's correct. Oh, see, you played this game before.
See. What a billiards player. Such a boring game. And everyone used to say to me when I first started playing snooker that, you got to start playing billiards, it'll improve your game. But
absolutely, it improves your angles.
Yeah. Do you reckon it does?
I think it does for the in-offs because you get the spell of things, but other than that, I mean, it's a real tactical game when you really get into it, and credit to the top guys.
You play it with side, don't you?
Absolutely, you spin it in.
Top it in.
The snooker at that stage, as I said at the beginning, everything was so decorative.
Yeah.
So where today you'll go into a club and you've got a tray of balls, this is where the balls would be presented. Right. So you've got a real wooden case
nice handle,
absolutely, and a real opening piece. So it's all about sort of the prestige of I've got the facilities to be able to do this.
I mean, I presume they're valuable. You don't have to give a price, but I'm presuming they're very
absolutely.
valuable,
I mean, they just do never. You can't sell them anymore, but they're a real demand in the UK of collectors, and it is just sort of the creme de la creme. As I said, I don't actually have a set. I've had to borrow this set today from a further collector, but the value is just unbelievable.
Right. Shall I do a little practice? See what I can score.
Tough table challenge with ivory balls.
Well, I always say tough table challenge, but maybe do a lineup or something and see what sort of score I can make. Right, so you don't really get the screw.
And I think also when you're using this, today you've got the tone chalk that is really important. This is actually the master himself, Joe Davis's original chalk.
Really?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it was taken from a fitter that actually took Joe's practice table down, and his wife very kindly gifted the table fitter some cues and actually said, look, here's a piece of Joe's chalk.
Yeah, so this is Joe Davis, who was, the most famous snooker player in the world.
Absolutely.
I mean, how many world titles did he win? 20 odd or something?
Yeah, I think 15,
different era,
15,
obviously.
Completely different era, but I think 15, and he did really well with him and his brother Fred. But they were the Alex Higgins, Jimmy Whites of their day. But really the sort of the godfather of snooker in many respects. Yeah. So this is a really historic piece of Geo Wright and Co. from London, manufactured in Paris. And have a look at that. Very different to what the chalk of today is.
Oh yeah, it's very sort of cakey. It's
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'd risk playing a screw back because that's probably going to miscue ruin my tip. But
yeah, you don't want to do that. But
it's is it like the same chalk you write with?
Very, very similar.
Is it?
Very similar. No real difference. And that was the king of them all, or triangle of their day. That was the chalk that
must have
people
some
be
mess
using.
at the table if you did play screw shots.
I can only but imagine.
Yeah. Can you imagine the players complain about that now? It's a totally different sound, isn't it?
Absolutely.
People will think I'm playing snooker with apples here.
The game back then was all about topspin, and you can see why. There's the topspin there, ran really nicely round. Well, with backspin, it'll be really tough to get a strong strike, especially with the chalk, the cue, and the cloth of the time.
Oh, stop. Well, I'm going to cheat. So would these have been like bright red and bright colours
at the time
when they were first made?
Yeah, absolutely. They would have been the bright colours. They would have been dyed that colour, and go through the process.
Yeah, you can't get screw, can you?
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's all about touch and feel. But because you do that, when you're looking at the game in the 30s and 40s when they're playing with these balls, and even before, there was no going in off the blue, breaking the pack or screwing through, because that shot just wasn't available.
Right. I feel like hit too hard, they're going to crack.
Joe will have certainly made centuries. He did a lot of tours going to local theatres, and would have made centuries with balls similar to this. It was a real skill game, and similar to the game that sort of Ray Reardon's famous for, of just knocking that one red out. Yeah. That's the game they would have played, because all they could have done is real topspin. If you could screw the balls with these, you would be an absolute hero.
I remember playing in the World Amateur when I was only 14, the likes of Terry Parsons, people like that.
Yep.
And that was a game they played. It was like, just take one red out at a time, clip it out.
Yep.
And there's definitely an art to it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's incredible.
I remember when I was coached by Frank Callan, who obviously had seen Joe Davis play, and he said, because I always asked him, I said, would Joe Davis have lived with the game today? But this was back in the 90s, obviously, and he said no chance.
Yeah. He
said he wouldn't have lived with it, just with the scoring, the potting, the more the aggressive nature. But I haven't really seen a lot. I mean, obviously seen old videos, but
yeah, it's so tough to be able to get videos of that time, and there are a couple of clips on YouTube and such like. But a lot of the game you've got to bear in mind is that you're playing these shots on the cloth that is super fine and super fast and heated. The cloth then would have had no heating. There would have been no heating. It would have been a very thick cloth. So it would have been really tough to be able to get anything through. This is really of a modern day cue that would be looking very similar to most.
It's got a new tip on it though, isn't it?
It has, yeah.
It's going to be a bit spongy, I think. But again, I mean, what sort of value in these of a Burwalk champion?
I mean, 500 and beyond, really. They're really in demand for people just collecting, but also actually looking for a cue to play today. They're still the best.
The Nash cue is catching in my beard, so I've got to keep my chin off the cue.
Brilliant.
It's quite a solid hit.
It is, and the reason that it is a solid hit is because you need that to be able to get anything back with the ivory balls.
Yeah.
So if it was a thinner cue, similar to maybe a pool cue of today, you wouldn't be able to get any kind of reaction at all from the cue.
So shall we set up a triangle with the reds, and I'll see if we can split them from a blue, see what happens. Right. So they'll do the shot. That's obviously the shot now in snooker, potting the blue and splitting the pack. So we've got the ivory balls, because everyone, when you talk to old players, you say, oh, it's easy now, the ball's split open. In the old days, you'd never be able to split the pack, the old ivory ball. So we'll see what happens.
Let's see. That's pretty good going.
Yeah, they split all right. Shall we set up the modern balls and see if we can do a comparison?
Yeah.
Well, it helps if I hit it properly. Yeah, look at that. What a difference.
No comparison.
Yeah. Every ball. I mean, this cloth is not the newest cloth in the world.
Yeah.
But you can see everything's come apart. I mean, imagine in the old days, if someone come against Joe Davis, he sat in his chair and the cue was there and he played that shot. I mean, he'd probably think, what is this?
There would have been some raised eyebrows, I'm sure. I think the big one that would be telling is trying to screw into the pack off the black.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be able to get any spin.
Let's try and do one off the black then. So when did they move from sort of this type of ball to more modern sort of
it was in the sort of the late 1920s that they'd start moving from the ivory into the modern day ball that you would see today. There was a lot of variations, as there always is with different iterations, but 1920s was the last time these kind of balls were used.
Right.
This will be really tough because it's tough to get the spin through it.
Right.
That's pretty good going. But again,
that was...
There was a lot of power in that.
Yeah. It's a completely different game.
Yeah, and that's where it changes, because before you wouldn't play that shot, you would be playing a topspin shot. That's the only way you can get the pace.
Yeah.
So the shot of coming off and canning it would be a lot more common to be able to do that.
So if I would play... Is this the white?
That's the white, yeah.
So if the pack were together, I'd just be trying to flick one out.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like that. Just take one out.
Yeah. But even with a little bit of backspin there, you would have seen that the white would have been moving a lot more than it would do currently today.
It's a click, isn't it? The sound with those balls. It's like they feel like fragile, even though they're probably stronger or tougher than these. They feel like it's almost like you could crack them like an egg. I mean, these are made of, is it crystallite or something? I mean, I know how they pot. But I've got no idea how they're made or how they. I mean, if you cracked that open, what would it just be like that all the way through?
No, there are certain layers. So that I've seen one that has been cut open that's got it's sort of like grey and layers of the process. But I genuinely wouldn't know how it's made.
I've never ever seen a snooker ball inside it.
Oh really? Okay.
So I don't know. So
yeah.
So that, as I say, I just potted them. I have no idea how they work.
You did that pretty well back in the day.
Right. Let's see if I can clear the colours. What cue? Shall I use a Horace Lindrum cue?
Use the Horace Lindrum cue.
Or shall I use a mace? Let's see.
Give it a try.
Right, shall I try and clear the colours with the world's oldest cue and the world's oldest balls?
Absolutely. Wow.
Well, I'm quite happy with that. I'm quite happy with that.
Good effort.
Oh, that's good effort. I'm not going to try and clear up.
Good luck with the screw here.
Well, I'm not. Yeah, it's a bit bent, this cue.
Good shot.
I'm quite happy with that. Oh God. Yeah. Right, that was my effort at blue. Now we need the rest.
That was a good effort. Would you have stuck at it if you were 10 and this was your first experience?
I mean, if my parents had got me a snooker table for Christmas and that's how you play it, I don't think I'd have stuck out of snooker. I don't think, I can honestly say. But yeah, I mean, it's very interesting, but Very difficult game.
Absolutely.
Very difficult
Very
game.
different game.
So we've said that a frame of snooker probably would have taken hours using this. Shall we have a little game, maybe 3 reds, just see how long it takes us?
Let's give it a try.
Whether we even have the interest to keep going for 3 reds remains to be seen. But I mean, the break-off is going to be not going to be the easiest, to be fair.
I'll let you go first. Good luck.
Oh, really?
Oh.
That was a foul.
Yeah, foul 6.
That was a foul. That was decent. Yeah, that was in.
That was in.
What an effort. Actually, because you're playing at this, you can reach more.
Yep.
It's like we're like playing with Cox's pippins, apples. That's what they look like. I can't see this frame getting to an end.
Maybe talk for yourself.
You've played this before.
Maybe talk for yourself.
You've played this before.
Go for a Higgins blue.
Your ball striking is definitely better than mine with this implement. I'm moving that out of the way.
No. That was a good strike.
What
shot of the day. Shot of the day.
What a shot.
This is a frame-winning opportunity in commentary.
Well, you can't play anything hard, obviously.
No. I'd love to have known what the highest break of that time would have been.
Well, if anyone put 2 in a row, I mean, it's an absolute miracle. I'm cheating again. You can't get, I mean, you just can't get any power into it. Okay, I think, right, I'm bored already.
2 hours later?
I'm bored already, it's a black ball game. I can safely say that frame would have taken about an hour, I think, to finish.
Oh,
ooh.
Playing safe.
See, I can just do this.
Just. No. As you say, it would have been tough for this to catch on.
Hopefully I've lost all my subscribers with this performance.
Oh.
Aye. Stop it!
Oh.
That's the same shot. I went the wrong way. Can I go that way? Put me out of my misery, Ben.
Oh. This is going to make gold dust here. Sod Ronnie on the channel. This is what you really need.
I'm going to play it properly now. Look at this.
Surely this time. Bit of Mark Williams.
Oh. I need the rest.
Great shot.
Oh, finally an end.
Well played.
That was a pleasure. Thanks very much.
Much
Very
appreciated.
interesting. Very interesting.